What's up, everyone? Welcome to The Well, your source for the latest in the field of after-school and summer learning programs. This is your host, Bruno. Today we have a very special guest with us. Diego Arancibia is Executive Director of ASAP Connect out of the Santa Clara County Office of Education. What's up, Diego?
What's up, Bruno? How you doing, man?
Good,
Great
man.
to be part of this.
Thank you so much for being part of this. So the first thing I want to ask you, tell us a little bit about your experience in after-school.
Many moons ago, if we can use the language from Star Wars, I was working as a program leader in a program in San Diego, right? So I was like many of the staff here, college student trying to graduate, but also having a part-time job, and didn't just want a part-time job. I was the idealist that I wanted to change the world, if you will.
Yeah.
So it was a connect from my older brother that one of his former college friends was a site coordinator at a YMCA program. So I applied there in '96, man. I think it's '96.
Wow, taking it back.
And I remember, man, it was funny because it was like I had a 3-page cover letter, bro. 3-page cover letter that I was going to build knowledge, wisdom, and understanding for the young people, et cetera, the system X, Y, and Z. So, and my boss that interviewed me at the time was none other than Steve Amick.
Nice.
So, I've definitely had the benefit of having like these giants, these after-school giants as my mentors and immediately my supervisors. So I started working with a program in San Diego in '96, was a program leader, then became a site coordinator, then became a director for service learning at the Y. So I did about 8 years.
Yeah, you put in your time. Time.
And I think it was I learned a lot because in the YMCA you get a really broad. You're not just doing program development. You're also doing fundraising, right? Because the campaign support every February, if you will. So everything from cold calling. And then in 2001, actually December of 2001, I get this call from my soon-to-be boss, which is Ray Trinidad, which is another like giant in after school.
Yep.
Asking me if I'd be willing to move up my new family, if you will. At the time, I just was married about a year and with a new son, to help launch the After School All Stars at that time, Arnold's All Stars in Los Angeles.
Right.
So January, I start with the All Stars, and that was 2002. It was intense, man. Incredibly intense. They were like dog years, really. What I learned in a year was probably about 3 or 4 years of what I learned in the Y. Just because it's not just a new program, it was a whole new 501c3.
Right.
But it was awesome in the sense that I was a program leader, site coordinator, director at the Y. And so
all the legends.
I've been blessed to have this opportunity to really to see, and not just at a workshop, but really see, as they say, when the king is sitting down, to see the king, quote unquote, without their crown as a real person, right?
Yeah.
So get to see these individuals as human beings and what made them tick and what made them excel. So from 2002 to 2010, I was with the All Stars, which was a phenomenal experience. It was around that time where I started traveling nationally and throughout the state, providing trainings and TAs and whatnot, and really helping. This is prior to Prop 49. Really going out to these statewide meetings, and it was a really awesome experience because what happens with a lot of program people, and I would encourage other site coordinators, even if your ecosystem of programs is small within a city, within a district, I make it a priority to go visit another site.
Yep.
Having that exchange between sites, because you take for granted the little things that you have, and then it's not until you go to another site, it's like, wow. For instance, our snack time is very efficient and very effective. We can get snack in and out 10 to 15 minutes. Go to another site, it's taking 45 minutes, and it's total chaos.
Right.
So those little things that you just know, it's not a big deal, but in the overflow of, in the overview of the whole program, there are these huge kind of what makes that program distinct is those little features that you've added on.
And point of reference is very important.
Yeah, absolutely. And then in 2010, moved out to the Bay Area with ASAP Connect here, housed at the Santa Clara County Office of Education, which I think in my career pathway, it just became more focused and more streamlined, if you will. So going from as program leader, where you're a generalist, right?
Yeah.
You're learning how to, you're doing a class on paper airplanes, how to make a piñata, to homework development,
Yeah.
relearning algebra again, all these things.
Yeah.
To then going into a site coordinator where it's project management and a little bit of fundraising to get your hustle on for making sure that you have the activities for your program, to becoming a director where you're seeing like a broad network of programs. And then within that, started focusing more on training and consulting and mentoring and coaching. That's the TA.
Yeah.
I saw that as a natural kind of segue into my career with ASAP Connect, where we focus on building the capacity of TA providers throughout the state. So I've been there, became the director about 2 years ago with ASAP Connect. And I think the highlight has been, connecting with individuals like yourself, that we would see each other like in a conference and, hey.
Right.
It almost felt like, I'll be honest, it feels like it reminds me of the experience I had when I was a college student, where we went to the summer bridge program, right? And it was a summer bridge program. It was geared towards like African American, Latino, Asian American students, right?
Yeah.
And I remember the first thing that they had us in the summer in this big hall that said, half of you are going to be gone by the end of the first school year, right? And we're like, nah, man. And sure enough, the first year, hey, what happened? So, oh, he had to go back, or she had to go back, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So after every year when we would see each other on campus, it was that kind of look like, hey, man, continue doing what you're doing and make it. You got to make it. You got to make it. So I relate that experience when we would see each other, Bruno, you and I, like different conferences, like, hey, man, you're still in the field. Yeah. And keep on pushing each other forward, man. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to do any of this without, individuals like yourself being supportive.
You're right, man. Thank you so much for those kind words. So the question, I guess, becomes, you've done it at all levels, but at the core of it, why do you do what you do? What pulls you in every day? What gets you to wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to give it one more day here?
I mean, that is always, I want to go for the deep, esoteric meaning of what it is, but I think it's a real basic answer, for me. Why do I do what I do? I just want to give young people the opportunity that I never had or always wanted to have.
Right.
And I think that piece is some of the things, or I could even say like some of the things that I was privileged to have. That to me, it wasn't until I went somewhere else I realized, like, man, I'm privileged to have 50 books in my house.
Right. Right.
I'm privileged to have a father in my household that was continuously like honest about our grades and stuff like that.
Right.
So to share those experiences with young people, and I think that is my why, like providing these opportunities or facilitating these opportunities for the young people.
That's real, man. So in that essence, then, what is the one story, that one moment that you remember from your path and after school and summer learning that you take away with you each and every day?
Yeah, that's another great story, man. We've all been part of site visits, right? And I think site visits, there are these two extremes. There's that kind of dog and pony show where everything is polished and, everything's on hyper showy, if you will.
Right.
And then there's the other extreme where it's like, hey, man, it is what it is. They come and see us like this every day. We're not going to put a show on, right? And I think, again, it's always the novice that exaggerates. So it's either exaggeration of the two. I think you can get a blend of the two where you use that site visit to really motivate and inspire not just your staff, but the young people.
Yeah.
That I would come into that space and, hey, man, we're having a site visit. Bruno Marchesi is coming in, and he's coming to see you.
Yeah.
He wants to talk to you. So I want to make sure you guys bring your A game. I don't want you to be put on the spot, like, who's this guy? So I give some background about who the person is, right?
And it's about celebrating the hard work that you do every day.
Yeah, man. And I think it's kind of demystifying the site visit. Like, who are these? Because sometimes a site visit does feel like you're caged animals and people are coming to view like at a zoo. And that was always rubbed me the wrong way. So but we were very, very, seasoned at site visits, because when we started the All Stars, man, it was very. That was from the get-go, from the first session that we had, site visits were a big part of it, right?
Right.
So I would use it as an opportunity to really fine-tune our craft and celebrate, like you said. And, we had the youth ambassador giving the tour. We had the curriculums already lined up. We had the enrichment activities. So everything was like, on cruise control for the most part. And my job in the back as one of the directors, my colleagues and I, we would stand in the back and kind of just like, be ready for the questions at the end.
Right.
Right. So at the end, when we debrief, when we ask, what are some things that stuck out? What do you have more questions on? And I'm thinking like, the enrichment activities, the young people are great, et cetera, the staff. This one person says something to me that was, I'm still like, it took me years to understand the magnitude of it. She says, you guys hug. And, and at the time I was like,
and who's you guys?
It was our staff.
Your staff hug.
Yeah, our staff. And we had a lot of male staff.
Yeah.
Right? And that was another thing that we were just, I don't know, we just look for people we want to hire. We had a lot of male staff, but it was, she noticed that there was this love that we had for one another. And it wasn't like, again, this is the thing about authenticity of love. You can't like tell people, you can't put that in the ops manual that I must hug Bruno when he comes in. You can say respect and what does that look like?
Right.
But it's in many ways what we were doing was we were inviting and we incorporated our out of school time traditions in the broader community into the program.
Right.
Because it was something we did in the neighborhood. Like when I see you, it's even to this day, it's always a pound.
Yeah.
An embrace, and it's not like it's just boom, how you doing, a bump, whatever, and how you doing, man. But we did that with everybody in our team. So, and the whole time when she says that, I'm like, do you put that in a rubric? I don't know how to. So it was one of these ahas that if you do it authentically, you don't know you're doing it, right?
Yeah.
And if you try to stage it, then it becomes like fake or really awkward. Like, I'm supposed to hug you.
But you know what? 2.0 would be to be able to clearly articulate that even that sign of hugs is a sign of safety, relationship buildings, being genuine with each other, bringing what the neighborhood brings to the school and the school back to the neighborhood. It's a sign of respect. Is a lot of those things that young people can relate to in a very genuine way. That's how they learn to interact with each other and with adults in the future. And if they can see it from caring adults that are working with these young people, that's how we move each other forward. So
yeah, you hit it on the head, and that's I think what our as quote unquote directors in the field now in these statewide organizations. That's our responsibility to get that message out. That the stories are there, the hugs are there, the love is there.
Yep.
The 2.0 is articulating how it's anchored back into research or how it's anchored back into the quality standards that, hey, this isn't just a hug.
Yep.
This is like on the step back on the reflection is like, this is how we go about building safe and supportive environments.
Right.
This is how we build the social emotional capital of our students, because these quote unquote cultural artifacts are present in our community all the time.
Right.
Right. And now there's something, you go onto the campus, there's something in the air. There's a buzz. It's like a rites of passage program, right?
Yep.
And it's not just it's the program, it's part, and they'll remember those experiences when you're in Target buying underwear 20 years from now, and they come up to you and they say, Mr. Bruno,
right?
Oh my God, what are you doing here? And then you're sitting there with a bag of underwear and you're like, who's this kid? I know he was in my program, but I don't know who. And he'll talk to you about how that program was so awesome when you were there, and et cetera, because those relationships were golden in your program, and you're able to nurture those.
Yeah, man. This young lady who's now in her 20s, she used to be a former student of mine, just contacted me last week on social media.
I saw that. That was awesome.
She starts her comment with, "Hey, Mr. Bruno. Oh,
Mr. Bruno.
I'm an adult now. Can I call you Bruno?" Right? And that's the love, man. That's the love that just it stands the test of time. And they remember those relationships. They remember that safety. They remember those opportunities that we provided for them to find voice, find peace, right? And that's what this is about. So, Diego, thank you so much for spending some time with us today talking about this.
Awesome, man.
The last question I have for you is, I'm big in us as a field moving each other forward. So I tend to do a lot of reading just on leadership and things that are going to spark ideas and just my own self-education. So what are you reading, or what is one recommendation you have for those out there of how you move yourself forward?
Yes. So what I'll say is one is an app, one is a website, and one is a book. If that.
Yep.
The app that I would suggest or recommend is Evernote.
Yeah.
We both use Evernote because it's just a way to, in the cloud, house all the articles that you read. That, oh, this is a really good, I want to share with my team. Or
Yep.
this is exactly what we're talking about, X, Y, and Z. Or even your notes, and you can tag them and you can create notebooks and you can share them with people. So Evernote is really good for especially the people that have high levels of input being in their kind of frame of reference.
Yep.
The second one is a website called Actionable Books.
Yep.
So imagine, back in the day, Cliff Notes, or now they're called Spark Notes, but they do summaries for books. So a lot of times, especially with our staff, that they have a reading list already for their classes in college.
Yep.
So for us to say we have the luxury, quote unquote, if that is, that we can spend time to read a book.
Yep.
Some of our staff is like, I got to read these 3 other books for my class. Now you want me to read this other book?
Right.
So Actionable Books gives executive summaries of some of the top books that you could choose from. So then that gives you a springboard into another world.
Yep.
So, and the actual book that I'm currently reading right now is, and actually rereading, is The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss.
Yep.
And I think that particular book is key for site level staff, because it helps you optimize your time and being effective. So looking at the Pareto's principle of 80-20,
yep,
looking at those 20% of context that you have that give you as much volume or as much output or payback, if you will, quote unquote, whether in relationship or monetary,
yep,
focusing on those 20%. To give you your maximum output. So identifying what those are and then structuring your day.
Yep.
I think it's especially when you look at site coordinators is definitely a challenge, because you go throughout the state. Some are full time, some are part time, some. So how do you go about really maximizing a time frame where, I dare say, any kind of site coordinator, it's a full time job,
yep,
whether you're getting paid or not.
Right.
Even the people that are like 4 hours, 6 hours, I guarantee almost every site coordinator who's 4 hours to 6 hours, they're putting full time. They're at the Dollar Tree trying to buy equipment, supplies for the students and the staff.
Yep.
They're at home thinking about what can I do to engage my staff. They're kind of checked out, or they're thinking, this would be a really great enrichment activity. So
yep,
maximizing that time, even though you only have 4 to 6. I think it is very, very important. So Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek, actionablebooks.com, and then Evernote.
Yep, and all of those resources will be in the description below. And Diego, how do we get a hold of you? Twitter handle, email, what you got?
You can find me on Facebook. That's probably the best way, is 2 ways: email, Facebook. Email is diego@asapconnect.org.
Yep.
Or Facebook, look under Suleiman Arancibia. That's my middle name, Suleiman, Sulaiman.
Yep.
Arancibia, another mouthful, Arancibia. And I'm sure that
we'll put down the description below as well.
Yeah. And again, like, more power to you. And the one thing that I can say is just everyone that's running a site, running a program, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, because I know that the work that you're doing is a blessing, and it is blessed to have you in the field, and please just be patient with us.
Yeah. Diego, I appreciate you. I appreciate this time, the conversation, and the knowledge. Thank you so much. We'll be talking to you soon.
All right, man. Take care.
All right, man.
Thanks.
Peace out.